Hi everyone, welcome to paradise. Here we are in Bermuda, the most beautiful place in the world. It has naturally pink sand from coral reefs that get ground up. And the sea is turquoise, the sky is beautiful. We had an amazing storm last night. The air feels very electric. You can hear singing tree frogs at night. They sound like healing hearts. And I just realized while I was here this time that the reason that I love listening to healing hearts or need to listen to healing hearts at night is probably because I grew up listening to the sound of the tree frogs. My mother's family were some of the first original settlers here. No one lived on this island when it was discovered, just wild boar. And it was discovered by a ship called the Sea Venture, which left Plymouth. And actually I'm going to be doing a project next year where I do some writing about that, which links into the link I have with Corsand, which is an island, a twinned island between Devon and Cornwall, which I have some synchronicities with my twin flame about. But it's interesting that the Sea Venture went from that part to Bermuda. I wonder why I have that pull with him, is because of that, some past life stuff. Anyway, Bermuda runs through my veins and I dream of it. And I've wanted to come back here for 10 years. My parents used to live here. On the plane on the way here, I was sitting next to someone who remembers me as a child. Maybe we'll go for a walk along the beach. Anyway, so I wanted to come here for 10 years because my parents have not lived here for a while. And I haven't come. It's very expensive to come. And then this year, and this is where I sometimes get confused whether or not I manifest. I mean, I definitely do manifest, but because I'm psychic, you know, I had a feeling I was meant to come here, or that I would come here, or I had the desire to come here. But what came first, the desire or me coming here? Do you see what I mean? Which is why I think that whatever you desire, and a lot of manifestation people say this, it's because you're already meant to have it. And because I'm psychic, I guess I get a premonition of what I'm meant to have. But the things that people really desire, that comes from a place of not like desperation or control, it generally is because they are meant to have them. So you can, you know, manifest anything. I wouldn't suggest specific people, not because you can't, because you can, but more so that it puts too much attachment on what you're manifesting. And the best way to manifest is to manifest from a place of, oh, wouldn't it be nice? And then letting it go. So anyway, around June, July, I started thinking that I would come to Bermuda around this time of year, in September or October. October is the best time to come because the sea is the warmest it is. The temperature is still warm, it's about 80 degrees, but it's not like stiflingly hot, but the sea is the warmest it is. So you get the warmest sea, you get beautiful weather, but it's not too hot. Still pretty humid, which I like. Anyway, so it's really expensive to come here. My parents no longer have properties here, but my mother is one of the biggest landowners because her family were the original settlers. So there's land here, and I was saying to her I really wanted to come, and I was like, oh well, maybe there'll be something that I need to do for you. She was like, I don't think so. Nice try, kind of thing. But this is where I can't, you know, did I have a psychic vision about it, or where did the desire come from? I just had a feeling I was going to come. And I even said to my therapist, because he was like, oh, you should go away on holiday. And I was like, well, I want to go to Bermuda. He's like, you should book somewhere, you know, you could go to Greece or whatever. I quite like going away alone. He was like, you could just go away on holiday by yourself. And I was like, I think I might go to Bermuda. Anyway, I told my parents. They thought I was crazy. And I was like, no, maybe there'll be a reason that I'm meant to come. Now, this hotel that I'm at is absolutely gorgeous. It's called Cambridge Beaches, and it's basically like a peninsula that is surrounded by beaches that are private. So it's like a complex. And it's all pink cottages. So all the rooms are individual pink cottages, and they all have views of the sea. and there's probably like 5 different beaches, and this is about 11 a.m. and look, it's completely deserted, this beach. There's one tiny beach called Turtle Cove where it's got amazing snorkeling. You can often see turtles there. I'm hoping I'll see some turtles. I saw a massive parrotfish yesterday, half the size of me. Google them if you don't know what they are. They're amazingly beautiful. Anyway, I wanted to come to this hotel. I've always wanted to stay here. I've never stayed here. It's pretty expensive. I mean, everything in Bermuda is really expensive, but this hotel specifically is like where everyone comes for their honeymoon. You know, it's really expensive. So unlikely I would come to Bermuda, and unlikely I would stay in this hotel, because usually my mother would, you know, put me, and we're talking 10 years ago. Well, they used to have a house here, but once I came and I was meant to stay with relatives, and the relatives put me in a hotel in Hamilton instead, which is the center, because it's much more practical. Getting around Bermuda is really tricky if you don't drive. Anyway, so what happened is, about a month after I said to my therapist and my mother and everyone that I was going to manifest coming here, and I said to my mother, oh, maybe it would be something to do with business, she messaged me saying, I think you've manifested your trip to Bermuda. And I was like, how? And basically what happened is, she has safety deposit boxes here with the banks. And now this is, I've got to tell us some weird mediumistic stuff too. I hope I remember everything to say. One of her safety deposit boxes suddenly, unexpectedly, had to close. Now, only her, or if she did the legal stuff to allow it, a member of her family can come to get the stuff out of the safety deposit box to take it back to the UK. She could have gone through a long legal thing to get someone in Bermuda to get the stuff, but then it would be stuck in Bermuda still, and everything in Bermuda is difficult to organize because it's an island, it's a small island, there's loads of bureaucracy, so it would have been way more stressful and probably expensive to get a Bermudian friend or relative to get the stuff out of the box, and it would still be here. So she was like, I think I'm gonna have to send you, because her and my father, well, my father is slightly vulnerable because of COVID, so they don't travel. And so she wouldn't travel either because of him. So she was like, I think I might have to send you. I just have to see if the bank will allow that. And the timing of when it needed to happen was any time from now until like December. But another factor of why it's hard for me to leave is because I have my house in London, which is like a big house that I live in by myself, kind of by choice, because I used to have flatmates. They moved out in lockdown, and I didn't replace them because I found the energy much better for my readings when I live alone. My house is like magical. But the one time I left it before to go on holiday is the only time I've ever been burgled, because I took my energy off it. It's energetically so powerful, my house at home. I've actually felt like a break from psychic abilities while I'm here, which is nice. I think the universe just wanted me to have a break from readings and stuff, but also it's because I'm not in my house. Like when I'm in my house, my readings are amazing. Anyway, so another factor that would have been really hard for me to go away is how would I leave my house and my pets, because I have a very sick canary, Rubicon, who needs medication like twice a day. And I have my kitten, well, she's a cat now, Solstice, who I've never spent one night away from her. You know, I leave her sometimes in the day, but she's very attached to me. Well, a month before I came here, I just started my new radio show, which again was another manifestation, because I got annoyed that my twin flame had got someone doing tarot sometimes on his radio show, because we talked about me doing that because we both do radio. And then out of the blue, my old radio boss asked me to come back and read tarot for a show. So that was weird. I didn't even mean to manifest that one, but maybe the fact that I felt annoyed that I wasn't reading tarot on my twin flame show was because we'd spoken about it, but because again, that was something I was meant to do. Do you see how your desires are always kind of the things you're meant to do? I didn't even have to push for this radio show. It just all fell into place. And as part of that, the first one I did like literally a month ago, there's a French intern who's super sweet, who I did a reading for on that first episode, and I'm like, I think you're going to move. And then he was like, yeah, I'm between places, I really need to move. And I was like, oh right. Now bear in mind, I don't want to live with anyone in my house, so I could easily get flatmates. My house is super nice. But Ben, my radio boss, after that episode begged me if I would let Mathieu come and stay with me just for a month. Now, I'd only met him briefly on air for 5 minutes, and I'm very fussy about who comes into my space. But something about it felt so fated that I said yes. I can feel when manifestations are unfolding. I guess that's what people, you know, when you're manifesting, it's like live in the end, get into the expectancy, but the air feels electric and things fall into place. And when weird things start happening, I go with it because I'm sure that it will unfold as part of the bridge of incidents. Even when things look like they're getting worse in the 3D, like say you were manifesting someone to text you and then they block you, I don't get triggered by that because I'm like, oh, this is just part of what needs to happen for it to work. I'm just giving you a very general example, okay? But when Ben asked me if Mathieu could move in, I didn't realize it was to do with this manifestation, but I was like, the universe is up to something. Maybe I'm going to have a huge electricity bill that comes or something, and so this extra money will be useful or whatever. I also thought it might be part of me just manifesting because my parents were like starting to think what we should do with my house, whether we should sell it because of the cost of living and the fact that I like living alone, and should I get something smaller. And it almost felt like the universe being like, don't worry about it because you could get someone. If you ever need someone, it's easy to find someone, right? So I just thought it was maybe that. But yeah, he was only meant to stay for 1 month, which suited me because I don't want to live with someone. So I was like, oh yeah, I can let this guy live with me for a month. The only thing I said to him was like, look, my cat is like my child, okay? So you have to not let her out and like look after her, and as long as you don't mind living with someone who's obsessed with their cat. But luckily he's a vegetarian and he loves animals. And as soon as the first day he came, Solstice went and sat on him, which was kind of unheard of. So I felt like, oh, okay, great. Anyway, then suddenly my parents are like, you need to go to Bermuda like this month. This is a couple of weeks after he moved in, or a week after he moved in. And I was like, okay. At the same time, my friend Andrea has just moved to the countryside and she still works in London. So before this had happened, when I had my spare room, I was like, hey, you can come and stay in my spare room whenever you need. But then this happened and I was like, could you come, because she loves Solstice, and look after Solstice while I'm in Bermuda? And she could, apart from 3 days, which were the last 3 days of when Mathieu was meant to be still living with me. So because he was still there, he could do those days, and then Andrea could do the other days. But it kind of worked out perfectly for everyone involved. It's not like, because when I manifest stuff, I'm aware of the fact that sometimes it means that you don't want to manifest getting a huge amount of money but not visualize yourself feeling happy with your family when you get it, in case someone has to die for you to inherit money. Do you see what I mean? So I try to manifest always in a way where it works out well for everyone. Andrea needed to stay in London. Mathieu really needed to move urgently for some reason, I don't know why. And it all synced up for everyone. But I also told him he could stay for a week extra, so that when he moves, he's not moving out while I'm here. And then it's really nice for him because, you know, he looks after the pets in return for living for a week for free. And him and Andrea will be there together for some of it. So the pets get 2 people who really love them, looking after them. So I feel relaxed about them, because that would be a major concern otherwise. And then this exact hotel that I've always wanted to stay at for some reason was the cheapest hotel, which is crazy. It would have been an absolutely perfect manifestation if I had been able to use my mother's air miles to pay for the hotel and the flight, because she's amassed all these air miles that now she can't use because of the fact that she doesn't travel. But that didn't happen because it was actually cheaper not to do that. But all of it was like the cheapest it should be, cheaper than it would be normally. Even like I booked a transit from the airport to here, which is half the price of getting a cab, because cabs are really expensive. But in the end, it was just me in the thing. So it was just me in a cab paying half the price. My Wi-Fi didn't work for a couple of days, which wasn't that bad because I'm on English time anyway. So I was waking up at like 4 a.m. and it meant that I had to walk a bit to get Wi-Fi to check on the pets at home and everything in the morning in the UK. But I had some magical, mystical experiences because of that, in the moonlight with toads, and the stars are so amazing here at night that wasn't an issue. But because of that, the hotel are like crediting me because it was an inconvenience. Do you see how just everything, it's like unfolding in my favor and just being very easy? As well as that, I get to meet with the museum here because I'm hopefully doing this project next year. I get to go and see my uncle who writes ghost stories, and you know, all of this stuff. But the way I manifested it was just by visualizing being here, literally like imagining myself first person, like with my feet in the sand, with my hands in front of me, like maybe touching this. Bermuda has a specific smell, so I remembered that. I remembered the sounds that it has that are specific, and I saw myself raising a rum swizzle, which is actually one of my family's drinks they invented, and drinking, it's like the national drink here, drinking it at the bar and thinking to myself, and this is important, and I'm looking through my eyes, raising the glass, thinking to myself, I'm so happy to be here and know that my home and pets are so well looked after while I'm here. That was the 3-second thing I was looping. I didn't know how it was going to happen. It seemed completely unrealistic. Like, my parents have not sent me here in 10 years, even though I've been begging to come, until I started manifesting. So for all the people who will be like, oh, well, your parents, no. Their safety deposit box just randomly closed at the time I said I would come. I don't think so. Either you see everything in life as a miracle or nothing. You can't see some things as and some things not. This is a manifestation. And the way it unfolded, I could feel it from the second that Matthew needed to move into my house randomly when I haven't had anyone living with me for like years. But yeah, that is how I visualized it. And the first night I got here, I actually sat and had that rum swizzle looking out to sea, and it was actually Bermuda all looks quite similar, but it was pretty much what I visualized, even though I haven't been to this hotel for ages to remember. The only thing that was different was I had visualized a glass that was more triangular, and my glass was a tumbler, but everything was the same. And that was a very good way to visualize, because I could taste the drink, which is specific to only Bermuda. I could hear the tree frogs at night, which is specific to only Bermuda. And I could, feel the sand under my feet. That's the kind of thing you have to do. You have to create a 3-second clip that is that sort of specific, and how it includes also that no one is harmed in the process. So if you want to get a sum of money, you should maybe imagine your friends and family celebrating with you, so it's not like something happens to one of them. Do you see what I mean? So I did it like, I'm so glad I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. It's not because a relative has died or something, or a friend has died. Not that I would come for that reason anyway. I would literally have only come because my mum needed me to do business here. And she has never needed that in the last 10 years. So before people start getting like, oh, it's not, it is a manifestation. It is. And exactly the month I came. And the funniest thing was I also did another thing where I visualized because another good way of manifesting is to imagine telling someone that you've manifested what you wanted. So I imagined my therapist texting me to arrange a session, and me texting back saying, you know how I told you I was going to be in Bermuda? Well, I'm in Bermuda that day. And that literally happened as well. He messaged me being like, hey, I have a spare slot. But it wasn't the time it was meant to be my slot. It was a week before. And I replied being like, hey, do you remember how I said I was going to be in Bermuda? I've manifested it. And he was just like, oh my God, because he knows I'm really good at manifestation. So yeah, the bridge of incidents were weird. Who would have thought that someone needing to move into my house would be the start of it? But that's why I say to you guys, you can never work out how or why it's going to happen. I did have a sense it might be through business, but I still can't tell whether I'm psychic, so I know what's going to happen and then it unfolds and I help the manifestation along, or what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Do you know what I mean? All I know is that when I want something, I have the desire for it, I can make it happen. And when I'm not really sure if I want something, but I decide to manifest it just as a test, I can make that happen too. But often then it undoes itself, or I don't want it anymore. So I used to do tests to see if you could get specific people and choose people that I wasn't even that sure about. And sure enough, I would manifest them, but then it would always go wrong, or I wouldn't be happy. So that's why I like to do love manifestations with clients more generally, because then I can be sure they'll get what they actually want, which is the feeling rather than the person. with me, because I'm psychic, if I know I have a desire for something, I kind of trust it. But with clients, because I'm not them, I can't tell what's going on with them, so I'd rather just do general stuff that works as well, so that they get the feeling of what they want rather than the person. But I have totally got the feeling of what I wanted. I'm having the most amazing time here. The weather was also meant to be raining every day I came, and I was like, no way, it is going to be sunshine and beautiful, and it's only been raining or stormy at night. And it's like 80 degrees and beautiful. So, oh yeah, no, that's the last thing. I also had this weird thing happen where I had like a bit of a mediumship experience, just my ancestors sort of saying hello, because while I'm here, I'm doing a lot of ancestral work with my mother's land as well. I'm going to go and do some rituals. And the day before I came, my mother had given me some dollars. And then I remembered we had this other box that my parents gave me ages ago with some like old American change, which you can use here. So I was like, oh, I should get that changed at the bank. I couldn't find that box, but I found this other box. And inside the other box, there were these big old coins, like old English £5 coin and stuff. And I looked it up because I was like, oh, maybe I should change that for a £5 coin. No, because it's worth way more than £5. It's like a commemorative old coin. And there were several, so I asked my parents, like, what are these? And basically they're coins that my Bermudian great uncle collected, and they are the exact coins that are in the safe, but they were the ones he thought weren't important, so he gave them to us. And for some reason, when my parents moved, they just gave me this box of stuff by mistake containing the coins that weren't the valuable ones, but they are from the same collection of stuff that I'm going to get from the safe tomorrow. So it's like spirit just being like, hey, do you know what I mean? Weird. But yeah, I guess that could also be a birds before land kind of premonition of the manifestation, but it's also spirit saying hi. Because when I manifest, I like to do the visualizations and stuff, but also kind of co-create. So because I was coming to Bermuda and I have all this karmic tie with my family here, obviously I asked them to get involved and help look after my house while I'm gone, which I put a lot of protection on, so it will be fine this time. Sending much love to Andrea, Matthew, my beautiful familiars and pets, and my home at this time. But yeah, it's very protected. But my ancestors are definitely colluding on this whole thing. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, guys. Just some inspiration for you. I will be back posting videos once I've got back and caught up with my personal orders and got over the jet lag. But yeah, much love, light and positivity, and I'll just do a final tour of one of these beautiful beaches.